my talk. Here we go. How he said he living life as a gringo, where you question where you fit and every time you mingle. They say you do this with not enough that. My rapping is really bad. This life as a gringo.
Yes, hello and welcome to another episode of Life as a Gringo. I am Dramos, of course. Today is Thursday, so that means it's time for our Thursday Trends episode. Helping me break down some of these stories, friend of the show. She is an amazing singer-songwriter whose latest single, Somebody, is out everywhere right now. Thalia Falcon, how you feeling?
So happy to be here once again. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we were talking off mic that it's been a minute, and that we keep like reuniting every. I feel like I don't know if it's every year, or every couple years.
Yeah, every year I think, or every other year.
It's been a minute, but it's good to see you. I'm excited to talk to you about all the music stuff because you're back at it again after a little break, which is nice. So we'll get into all that stuff, but the kind of task at hand is getting into some of these trending stories. So we're gonna touch on a few different things. This is a touchy subject for a lot of people, and I had posted about this on my social media, but there's a documentary about the woman who killed Selena. She had gotten a new documentary, so we'll talk about that. Diddy has some wild accusations right now that are kind of making their rounds, so we'll get into that. We'll talk about dating apps a little bit. I know that you have been talking about dating a bunch as of late with your content and all that stuff, so we'll get to your take on that. And then somebody doing some amazing things when it comes to reproductive rights for women. So we'll talk about that in our Mi Gente segment. But first, let's just get into the nonsense, the heavy stuff, the BS. We'll tackle that first, and we'll do it in a segment we call For the People in the Back.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
All right, so let's first and foremost start on a topic I was talking about on my Instagram as of late, and it's this documentary that basically follows the woman who killed Selena, and it's on the Oxygen Network, and it's like this woman is like getting her chance to tell her side of the story for the first time or whatever, and rightfully so. It's gotten a lot of backlash on the internet as to why the hell somebody would even give this woman a platform and a check, I'm sure. And it's not anything new. The woman continues to sort of deny that she killed Selena on purpose. But then even like is trying to tarnish, I guess, the name of Selena by making accusations of like her having had an affair and all these different things. And it really makes me think. I think the perspective I took on it is, what does it say about our culture that we keep giving people like this one a platform? Because there's money going behind it. They're not going to invest money behind it if they don't think that we're going to then tune in to watch this sort of train wreck. And it's a really sort of just disgusting sort of system that continues on. And this is just one of many shows like that. But yeah, I guess your thoughts when you see people like this getting a platform and a check to just spew more nonsense and kind of relive other people's pain.
Right. I mean, I wonder what the family feels like. That was my first.
Yeah.
Like, what is Selena's family? Like, how did they even allow this?
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, she's getting a check for it.
Right.
What good does this do for anybody?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why they would even bother giving her the platform. And why can't we highlight the good that Selena's done? Of course, the movie has come out, years ago that J-Lo
Mm-hmm.
did. And, I'm sure they've done some other documentaries and everything like that, but it just doesn't really add up to me. And it almost makes it seem like, I don't know, it's like the Latinos, and I feel like people in general are like, who would want to support this type of work? Right. First of all, it makes us look kind of dumb in a way. It's like,
sure,
it makes us seem like we're against, I mean, we're all rooting for Selena, of course, but
right.
I just don't understand who would tune into this type of documentary and why we really care on what she has to say, because of course, she has the opportunity to get out, I think, March 2025, but
yeah,
I don't think it's a good type of attention that we should, it's the type of attention that we should be giving.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Because it's and this is one of many examples. Obviously, it's like we're talking about it because somebody like Selena is such an important figure in the Latin community, but I think in general, it's like all of us, myself included, we have these weird guilty pleasures in it being entertained by the suffering of other people. I mean, even true crime as a genre is like so popular, and I'm, you know, guilty of indulging in true crime TV and things like that. And when you actually zoom out and think about it, you're like, man, this is entertainment based upon the worst day of certain people's lives, essentially, right? And then you got to also think, like, beyond the victims, their families now have to relive this on a television screen, you know, and none of us are even conscious of that for the most part. And we're just sitting there watching it like it's a sitcom, you know, and that's sort of the, I don't know, for me, when I look at it, I'm like, man, what does that say about all of us that we continue to support things like this, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just the fact that we're bringing attention to it. And also the fact that in the documentary, I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
apparently she was saying, like you had mentioned about how she had an affair. It's like, if you're really sorry and have remorse, you don't try to tear down the person's name.
Right.
I mean, so it kind of completely negates the fact that she's sorry or anything like
Right.
that. It just doesn't really make sense to me why this would even exist. But
No.
I guess people know that people will watch it, you know, like networks like this. They know that people are going to watch something controversial like this.
Sure.
So they don't care about Selena really or her family. They just care about getting that check.
Yeah. That, I mean, that's the sort of sad part about our society to a degree. I mean, I kind of feel like, though, the optimist in me wants to say, I do feel like there is a little bit of a changing of the guard happening, right? And you're like a really into content creating and staying consistent with that stuff. And I feel like I have begun to notice some of the more positive perspectives are getting a lot more popular these days, rather than just the bullshit that people are used to from, you know, viral content. I mean, you can kind of speak to that a little bit, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. I feel like the whole virality or like viral moment is kind of old news. Um, what people are searching for now is authenticity, vulnerability, relatability. That is the one thing that's connecting content creators to their viewers. And yeah, it's like, first of all, it's hard to go viral nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
And everybody can see that who's trying to create on a regular basis. And it's not even about the views anymore or the likes. I mean, it's kind of, you look at it as what it does over time. Like I had mentioned before, I'm building that foundation right now, or I have been the last couple years. So I've been there trying to chase for virality, and it doesn't work. It's not authentic. You're constantly looking at other people, what they're doing that's worked for them, and you try to make it work for yourself. It's kind of like cutting corners that are it's never gonna work out anyway. So just yourself at the end of the day. That's the best thing you can do, as cheesy as that sounds. But
Sure.
yeah, virality. Honestly, the moments that I've had that have been the most authentic and that have done well are me scrubbing tables at work, like videos of me working at the restaurant as a server. Like I still do to this day. So showing those moments are a lot more impactful than like trying to do a TikTok dance or something like that.
Right.
Not even in anymore. There's seasons to it. And right now, that's not where social media is. It's more about the authenticity.
Yeah, which is good to see, because I think, and I mean, as with anything else, it reaches a breaking point where everything becomes so oversaturated in your face, and you're just sick of looking at this particular trend. And I think people got tired of the influencer living the greatest life ever type of trend, and thankfully it begins to sway in this other direction. And I guess there's hope at the end of the day, is what we're getting at, which is nice.
Yeah.
And all right, we're gonna do a hard turn here into one of the more heavier stories, the heaviest story of today. But it is necessary to kind of talk about for multiple reasons. But you have this lawsuit here with Diddy, and I want to preface by saying it's a lawsuit. He hasn't been found guilty yet. This is all alleged, but he is being accused of sexual assault and harassment, this time by a male music producer, in a $30 million lawsuit. All types of accusations here, including underage women and just forcing this dude to do a lot of really terrible things that apparently he wasn't into, being pressured into having sex at the direction of Diddy. having to collect sex workers for Diddy's parties. He believes he was drugged at one point, woke up naked and disoriented. And Diddy has been under a lot of these different lawsuits as of late. Cassie, the singer, his ex-girlfriend, actually filed a lawsuit accusing him of rape, sex trafficking, and other disturbing allegations. They ended up settling out of court. We don't know what the truth is at the end of the day. We got to wait for kind of this to play out in court as anybody else. But I thought it was more of an interesting kind of conversation to be had around these people that we idolize, right? And that we hold up on these pedestals that we don't really know. And the obsession with celebrity, you know, and sort of making these people out to be larger than life and striving to sort of be around them or be in their orbit or to think that they are, you know, so much better than us. And then we kind of come to find out, not just him, but other people, that they're fucked up people just like anybody else. They have their vices, some obviously worse than others. But I think to me, when I read articles like this one, it's a conversation about the world of celebrity and false idols and how so many people get caught up in chasing that fame when you're just, I don't know, these aren't people that are necessarily meant to even be looked up to. You know, we're obsessing over these people and holding them on these pedestals, and they are not morally, you know, human beings that I personally would even want to surround myself with. Yet, as a community, as a society, as a country, we're obsessed with fame, and these are the people we prop up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with all that. It's very weird. It's all honestly an illusion. Like,
Yeah.
Everybody's a regular person. Everybody shits at the end of the day.
Yeah. Great
Like,
point.
they're literally all the same. So it is crazy that people do look up to, you know, certain figures in the entertainment industry and everything like that. It's definitely a very, I don't want to say corrupt industry, but it's unlike any other industry. You know, there's a lot of shady stuff happening in every angle of that, and it's very different. You definitely have to be careful with who you surround yourself with. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's also like people will do all kinds of crazy shit just to get in like the orbit of famous people. Like I remember when I left the Breakfast Club, like one of the things, like, you got to be sitting next to famous people all the time, and it was like, so what? That's not a reason to stay somewhere, is because I'm sitting in the same room as somebody. What the fuck is that doing for me?
Yeah.
Like in reality, like me sitting across the table from somebody else, unless we're opening a business together or fucking doing, you know, some sort of work together, or building a friendship, what is it really doing for me at the end of the day? But the obsession with celebrity, people are willing to put that above everything else. And like, you know, I've seen it all the time where, whatever, social media, it's like the thing is like you end up near celebrities, you're sticking a camera in their face and all this shit. And that's just for your own personal validation, you know, but it's like we're propping up other human beings and literally striving for absolute bullshit, like this superficial life that really doesn't make people happy at the end of the day. And like, obviously people like this have their own demons that they're struggling with as well. And we're just like obsessed. I don't know. There's the obsession with celebrity is what's really toxic, and that's kind of what social media has also magnified, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. And I always think about like being on the other end of that, like their perspective it can't even go out, you know, to a dance or anything like that. I was actually in New York recently, and I was at in Soho, and I see this couple behind me, and I mean directly behind me.
Yeah.
This guy's like pinned his girlfriend up against the wall and like was kissing her. I was like, oh my God, like what in the Netflix show is this? Like it was super cute, but like I was like, okay, I see you guys.
Yeah.
And then like I sit down with my coffee, and then I see that it was Jeezy and his girlfriend. I'm like, what in the world? Like, but they were just regular, like they blended in. Like I would have never been like, oh, let me get a picture, because they're just, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was just like very random, and they blended right in. So, but you know, some people would be like, oh my God, Jeezy, let me get a picture.
Right.
But I don't know. I think about what I would want if I were in their shoes. Like I would just want to be regular and have a regular life. So
it's also wild to me that like it's somebody's job, like a paparazzi. They're just going to be out there fucking filming somebody getting coffee. Like that is we're so obsessed with it. We want to see fucking Justin Bieber going to get coffee in sweats on a Saturday morning. Like who the fuck cares? But that's an entire industry people are getting rich off of because we're obsessed with stupid shit that when there's so many other important things going on in the world.
Yep.
Good times, you know? Good.
Also, the whole thing about clout chasing, and that's a whole
Yeah.
thing too. You know, it's
Uh, it, it's a, listen, I'm an eternal optimist, but I see certain things and I'm like, man, I hate it here. I just want to go back into my
not
cave.
literally though.
All right, so now let's move on to something lighter but equally distressing in the world of dating. That is the modern dating era. I've seen you talk about this a bit. I know. I think some of the clips you put out for somebody was you sort of talking about this to a degree. But so I'll get your take on a couple of things. But there's a lawsuit right now that is happening with the maker of Tinder and Hinge, and they're being accused of creating addictive dating apps, essentially that put profits over love. So they also own, I guess, the dating app The League, which I've never used or heard of before. But they say that they hook users with the promise of seemingly endless romantic matches in order to push people to pay money to continue using their apps and partake in their compulsive behavior. And this is a federal lawsuit from San Francisco. 6 plaintiffs are saying that the company Match Group gamifies the services to, quote, transform users into gamblers locked in a search for psychological rewards that Match makes elusive on purpose. Now, Hinge advertising says with the slogan that it is designed to be deleted. The lawsuit claims that Match Group's dating apps are really designed to turn users into addicts who do not find true love and instead keep purchasing subscriptions and other paid perks to keep the publicly traded company's revenue flowing. Let's first talk about dating apps. Are you a user of dating apps? Have you ever been? What's your deal on dating apps?
Absolutely not. I have always been against dating apps. Like if you've been on my lives, like I've talked about this before, like
Sure.
I'm not a dating app person. I never have been. My personal thing, first of all, everybody, you do you.
Yeah.
For me, though, I I don't know if I'm like old school or what, but
Yeah.
I would rather find someone in person. Like
Mhm.
I'm all about things happening the way they're meant to happen. And on apps, you are considered a swipe. Like you are
Right.
just considered a swipe. They don't really care about you. They literally base their perception of you off of what you look like. You know, it's like I don't
Yeah.
want to be considered another swipe. They're like I
Right.
have more to me than that.
Mhm.
I will say though, all of my best friends have found their husbands on apps.
Oh, so they have positive stories of
Yeah.
apps.
I mean, I've heard that they work sometimes, but
Yeah.
I personally would rather just find someone another way. But
Yeah.
that's just my personal perspective. Yeah, I know people that have even like done serial dating where like they're going on dates like multiple dates per week. But
Mm.
I'm like, what do you want out of that? Like
Right.
what are you trying to get out of that? Like find a life partner
Hmm.
or because this guy, you don't know what the other guy is doing if they're going on dates too. Like I
Sure.
just don't trust.
I mean, I know somebody who actually he'd go on multiple dates in a night, like 2 dates a night.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that I
That's
meant.
psychotic. That blows my mind. Like I don't have the like social capacity to like start a new interaction with somebody. I'm drained after the one, you know what I mean?
Like, what are they saying? Like, oh, sorry, gotta go. Like, gotta go vacuum my grass outside. Like, I
Exactly.
have to go to another date. Like, what?
He literally says, I have to go. My boss is calling me. I have to go and I have to go and work or whatever. And I'm like that just seems like a lot. That's crazy. That seems like so. I've been against dating apps. I was at like the early stages of Tinder, in my younger days, and then I sat out the dating app thing for God knows how long. But I had re-signed up for it this year, just to see because my whole thing is this is. I get the allure of because especially in today's world, it's tough. Like especially as you get older, you're not out being social as much. Like I'm not in the fucking bars every weekend if I'm not working. I'm not at work events throughout the entire week like I used to be. I'm on my grind and I stay home and with my dog. I chill.
Yeah.
And so it was like it was suggesting like, all right, well you probably should like, go on a dating app. So I went and checked it out. And these things are so fucked because it's everything you want is behind a paywall, right? So like basically if like you run out of like 5 swipes and you have to pay, all right? Then it's like what I've also noticed where they fucking get you as well is when you upgrade to like a pro account, all of a sudden the matches become more like physically attractive. And like I'm not trying to sound like a shallow human being, but like it feels like they 100% have the algorithm like laid out where the people that you would. Does that sound crazy? Like that sounds so fucked up.
I mean, algorithms are wild nowadays. Like they even say that shit about TikTok and how they put like pretty girls on the For You page all the time. Like that's just wild. But I believe it. I 100% believe that. And I'm not gonna lie, I downloaded one before, but I've downloaded Hinge before, like way back when, just to see. And you're 100% right. Like back then, they even had they'd make you pay for like when you would run out of swipes or whatever. The thing that I think about is that it kind of is the same as DMing someone on Instagram. It's like it honestly is the same, and it's weird for me to say, but I have no problem with someone DMing me on Instagram, but I'm weird about apps. So I think it's the whole like swiping thing that makes me like picking.
I think I'm not opposed to DMs either, and I think I had to delete the fucking apps because they were so stupid. Like it was just like it made me even sadder for humanity, and I was also like I'm not gonna sit here trying to find the perfect first line to send to somebody that I don't know.
Yeah, weird, and it makes you do the prompts, right? You can't do prompts. That's what's weird.
And then you're like putting on a show like, okay, what can I say that's clever here? And it's like, do you want to get to know me, or do I have to try and pretend like that I'm, because that's like fuckboy, stuff too, where it's like, oh, let me get the perfect line that's gonna get this girl to like respond to it or whatever.
The voice memos.
Oh my God. Everything about it is awful. I had to delete everything, but I think Instagram though, it's a little bit different, I think, because you can get a better idea of who somebody is via their Instagram to a degree, right? Like through what they post, or like if you're following them for a little bit, you'll see what their stories are like, and like, this person goes, what?
You follow. If you're a psycho like me.
Wait, run that back. What'd you say?
I said, or you can get an idea of who they are based off of who they follow.
That's some next level, girl math right there.
Yeah, literally though.
Wait, so what is it?
I'm not the only one.
Okay, break that down for me.
I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm not gonna give away all my secrets, but like who they follow. If they're following a bunch of Thadianas on Instagram, Thadianas, we're not having that.
That's fair. Okay.
There are guys that are not like that. They're not fuckboys. Like I have met guys that are not fuckboys, and I never thought I would meet someone like that or people like that, but it's possible. So
see, so this is my whole thing with this, and I think it's an interesting point. I agree to a degree, because so I have a second Instagram that is private that I don't post anything on. And it's literally the one that I just look at like things that I would follow, right? And I refuse to follow like half naked women on there because that's not doing anything of value for me. Now my main Instagram, I don't know who I'm following because I've had it for years at this point, and I can't guarantee that there is or isn't Thadianas on there, to use your verbiage. So that'd be the only flaw I think within that. It's like I'm not gonna go through I don't unfollow people like periodically where I'm just going through. I don't do that much with my page. Now randomly, if I see somebody, I'm like, all right, I know what this person was when I follow them, I'll unfollow them. But I'm sure but I'm sure there's some on there that you can dig up that it's like, why is he following this person? And I don't want to take responsibility for that because that was probably years ago.
Okay, well, you can tell the girl that when she asks you.
Yeah, I'm sure she's gonna believe me. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna go over. You see, this is so fucked though. I would have never like even thought about that before, and now this is something that's gonna be in the back of my mind.
Girls definitely pay attention to who your friends are, because you are made up of the 5 closest people around you. So that's very important. Yeah, your friends are important. How your relationship with your family is important. Sometimes your who you follow for sure. If you're following Andrew Tate or fucking
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, it all depends. Like, I don't know. I don't think I'm the only one, because I see girls talking about this on TikTok all the time, and
you're probably not the only one. I'm oblivious to this, I guess, as a male, not even thinking about this.
Also, the whole thing with dating apps was literally a Black Mirror episode about 4 years ago. So this is nothing new. Like, they've been predicting shit like this for a while, and it makes me think of like, I'm wondering what the stats are on how many couples have stayed together or like gotten married from apps. It's definitely a lot.
It's got to be because we're so, I think, just disconnected in today's day and age to a degree. I think we're all like in our own bubble, in our own world, and it's hard to break out of that. So it's like that's why I think so many people go to dating apps, because it's like where are you really going to meet somebody in real life, and who has the time for that? For the most part, most people are working all the time and doing things, and it's like, okay, the bar is really the only guaranteed place. Am I really going to be thinking I'm going to be in a bar? It's like, obviously it's like it's possible, but like I don't think that's the environment to start a conversation with somebody and get to know them and think maybe this is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. It's not conducive to that.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking like mutual friends or like, finding people elsewhere.
See, but mutual friends is tough when you get older because you've already ran through, like you've already seen all your mutual friends at this point. So it's like, all right, well we've kind of shaken that tree, dry at this
point. True, I guess.
But you're still in your 20s, right? So you still have some time there. And what is like your thought on modern dating in general? Because I know you've been posting about that, like even outside of the apps. What's been your gripe that you've been kind of talking about?
I mean, I was definitely frustrated like years ago with like have never been like a date, like serial date or anything like that. I've always focused on myself, focused on my career. I've only had 2 boyfriends in my entire life. Like I have always been more about myself and what I want to achieve in life.
Yeah.
But I was very frustrated when I would like talk to fuck boys. Like I kind of set myself up, like especially athletes.
Yeah.
Athletes are not the vibe,
Sure.
They're very immature. I mean, I don't want to say all of them, but some of them are.
Right.
They think that they're gonna get anybody they want because they got a blue check on Instagram or because, they can kick, I don't want to give it away, but kick a soccer ball or, shoot a basketball.
Sure.
But yeah, like what matters is how you treat the person or the effort that you're putting in. And I don't want to say the bar was like, I mean, yeah, the bar is pretty much on the ground, like below the ground for our generation. And I was like, you know what? Instead of waiting for somebody to like actually give me the time of day or like, I feel like I was asking too much before,
What do you mean by too much?
Like, why should I have to beg someone to like take me on a date or something? I was never begging, but it's like I was looking for love in the wrong places, if that makes sense. Like there were times where I would literally get ready to hang out with someone, and as I was leaving my house, they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, can't anymore."
Yeah.
It's happened multiple times. And it was just me dealing with immature people. So, um, yeah, but I realized that instead of searching for it and just wanting what everybody else had around me, you kind of have to just take the time to be comfortable with being alone. And I've been alone not my whole life. I was in a really long-term relationship, like all throughout high school, throughout college too. And so I had never really like taken the time to be alone for a couple years. Like, especially in your 20s, like that's essential to like figure out who you are as a person, to grow, to be in uncomfortable situations. And yeah, that was essential for me. So I definitely feel stronger as a person now that I like gave myself the love that I was looking in other places. And I highly recommend everybody does that because there's some people that really like rely on other people for their own happiness and like to feel validated. And that was me at one point. Like I really like felt validated by what people would tell me, or even like not even about dating, just in general with social media. And it's like you got to give yourself that love first before anybody else can care about you or even want to love you. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been dealing with the last couple years, and I feel really good. And I will say that when you take the time to do the self-work, you will feel that energy shift and things will come your way that align more with who you are.
But I wonder if do you think it's different in today's day and age, or are people, I don't know. I think people were there had to be trash people back in, I don't know, the 60s, let's say, when it was more common to be married, right? It wasn't like all of a sudden out of nowhere everybody just became a fuckboy or something like that. Like that that existed obviously back then. But I wonder, what do you think is the difference these days? Like what is sort of what makes it more difficult in today's day and age, I guess.
So I was actually talking about this with my abuelita.
Hmm.
I posted a video with her of her showing, I showed her my new song that kind of had to do with this.
Yeah.
She told me that exact thing, or she asked me, or no, I asked her what, how was it dating back then? Because she's from Cuba and she came here when she was 18. And her parents were really strict back in the day. I mean,
Yeah.
she's in her 60s now, but her dad wouldn't even let her leave the house or even be here. She told
Yeah.
me. So she said that nowadays it's because everything's on the phone, like social media. Guys can get a girl literally with the tap of a button,
Hmm.
you know? It's not that hard. Like a lot, I'm not shitting on girls, my fellow baddies and all that, but like some people are very easy to
Yeah.
get.
Sure.
And it just, some people don't care about, giving it up to anybody. They'll do
Hmm.
it for their own pleasure or, for their to make themselves feel good. Um, so yeah, I feel like things have shifted where girls are like guys now, where it's like,
Mm.
don't give a shit. They will be with one guy one night, next night, another one, like they do not care. And I don't know like when that will shift or like I don't want to say every girl's like that because they're not. There are girls
Of course.
that are respectful and like, you know,
There's
everything.
a weird mindset shift now too, though, because it's like and I think this is the social media aspect where there is like this performance element where there's like, you hear this all the time. Oh, you shouldn't be dating if you don't make X amount of dollars or something like that, right? And like a guy has to pay all my bills. It's like all these weird metrics that really don't actually have anything to do with love in itself, and it's more a performance for you to look cool in front of whoever you're trying to look cool in front of, right? And that's sort of, I think, some of the shift. And like, to your point, like, yeah, I think that men are shit in many degrees, but also I think women are shitty in just different ways as well, but like equally not like morally sound people that I would want to be around. Like that kind of normalization has happened as well, where it's like women have these crazy expectations for dudes and then sort of unknowingly also put themselves in a position where the man now has all the power, right? Because you said, okay, I want a rich dude who does this, this, and that. So now it's like he knows he has you because he's the dude who's able to dangle all this shit in front of you, and he's going to treat you like shit because it's a power situation at that point. It's a power dynamic, or athletes and things like that. It's like, okay, they're going to take advantage of it because they know they can, because people are obsessed with the lifestyle that comes along with it. They want to be at the fancy restaurant. They want to be showered with the fancy gifts and be able to, have all the Instagram moments that they could have. And he can go and do his thing and fuck around on you because he knows that you value that too much. It's going to be hard for you to give that up. And I think that's sort of part of it as well, is the performance element that so many people are putting on when it comes to the social media era.
And people need to remember that we do not take anything to the fucking grave with us. I have lost
Sure.
many people in my life. Like I can tell you when you are at a cemetery and you really like you look at your life and like what good did you think back about
Yeah.
the things that the people did for others and like not about the material things
Right.
ever. It's never about that. But our generation and like our society is all about that shit. And it makes me insane because it's like girls look for guys that can give them a bag, give them
Yeah.
jewelry. And it's like, okay, of course that's nice sometimes. Like I'm a girl, of course I like that shit. But like
Mm-hmm.
that's not everything.
Right.
What I've experienced, um, it's you want things that like you want a guy that can help you grow, that helps you love yourself.
Sure.
That's what matters. Like not fucking
Yeah.
gifts. I've experienced it. Like it is possible to find someone that can give you things that you can't have physically in your hands, but you literally feel here, you
Right.
know? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's like more valuable and more rewarding than any gift. Like having someone that supports you or, not I'm not saying financially, I'm saying in general, like supports your career or like, just does the little things. It really is the little things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah, that's the only stuff that is lasting fulfillment and happiness, is like the real, somebody seeing you, like really seeing you, somebody, really being a partner in crime with you. Like, listen, the gifts and all that shit is fun, and I'm sure the experiences and all that stuff is great, but when you're sitting in the dark at the end of the night, it's like that's when you really find out what's important at that point, when there's nobody to show off the bag in front of, and you're back in the house between those four walls, and you want somebody to actually really see you and be there for you. That's when you realize what the difference is.
And when you go through hard shit too in life, like we all go through hard things. Like we haven't even probably experienced the hardest things yet that life has to offer. Like,
sure.
So you need to have someone that isn't just with you for the wrong reasons, and that's actually going to be there to support you through it all.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're projecting some good energy out there. Maybe it's a little by little changing. So we talked about all of the heavier stuff. We're gonna talk about some positive stuff. Somebody who's doing some really amazing things for women, using their platform for good. We'll get into that. All right, so we are going to talk about somebody who's doing something amazing with their platform. She's not actually Latina, but we're giving her an honorable mention, an honorable pass here, because she's doing something incredible, and it's Olivia Rodrigo, who, are you a fan of, first and foremost?
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah. So I have it's like a secret, guilty pleasure for me is Olivia Rodrigo's music. Even though I'm not her demographic, I secretly just can't help myself from enjoying it if it comes on.
Yeah, no, she's awesome, and she's I look up to these types of artists because how they have grown their fandoms is insane. Like you can learn a lot from Taylor Swift, even if you don't listen to her music. Like sure. I personally don't listen to her. I used to be a huge 50 in middle school. But even now I'm like taking notes, and like it's crazy with like how you can grow an entire community that will be your ride or dies through literally everything. And Olivia Rodrigo is one of those people. Like she probably hasn't even reached her full potential yet, She's on tour right now. And it's already like 10 times bigger than it was last time. She has dancers now. Like it's crazy to see her growth and what she's doing for women and the community too.
Yeah, I mean, I love greatness in general. I'm not a Swiftie either, but I did like see her live one time, and I was like, I fucking get it. She's special. I 100% get it now, seeing her live. But even beyond just like being talented, I love this right now for Olivia Rodrigo. So she's launching Fund for Good, and it's supporting reproductive health. It's a nonprofit, and she's actually going to be donating portions of the profit from her current tour that she's on towards helping women out when it comes to reproductive rights. There's obviously been a lot going on with abortion rights being taken away in many states. This affects people who are lower income from being able to then travel to a state if they need to get it done. And she has been an advocate for reproductive rights for women, so she's putting her money where her mouth is and supporting that cause and supporting women who need help with it and need resources, which is amazing. And I love this for many reasons, but like I always argue with people, and people fall on different sides of it. But like, to me, when you get a platform and you're in a position of power, you have money, you have fame, you have access, you have people who follow you, it's such a waste if it ends at just it being something that is self-serving at the end of the day, And I know a lot of people say it's not their job, but how could you not, as a human being, want to, whatever cause is interesting to you, want to give back in some sort of way? You know what I mean? Like you're in a very unique position that the 0.00001% of people ever get to experience, and you could do so much good with it. And it's crazy to me that not more people in a position like hers kind of take that upon themselves to want to do good for this world in whatever way they see fit.
I agree with that. And even just like a simple Instagram story post or like a Instagram post, like that is so powerful. And I feel like it's tricky because with a lot of these controversial topics, they tell, celebrities or public figures to not really post about this stuff because that can make or break their career or be very tricky. So the fact that she doesn't care and she does her own thing and doesn't care if she loses fans, like that's very powerful in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, well, that pisses me off to no end. If like people who are like, I just, to me, it's like, I think when I think about the end of my life and what my legacy and all those different things, if I'm looking back and thinking I made decisions based upon fear of other people judging me and I didn't do what I felt was right, how could I possibly be proud of my journey, along the way? Like, if I knew I had the ability to do something good and I didn't do it because I cared more about superficial success and accolades than that, I just don't see that as like a life well lived, or me taking advantage of this blessing that I was given. Not I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the blessing that I was given and the people that are supporting me.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the people that, I don't know, it's like if it's even better if the people that follow you are on your side, like you
Yeah,
can teach other people that follow you that might have thought something different. I don't
right.
want to say the right way, because not everything I say is going to be right, or not everything you say is going to be the
Sure.
correct way. Who even knows what the correct way is?
Right,
But
right.
I think it's a teaching moment too for people to have more of an open mind instead of just being like, strict on what they've learned from their parents or anything
Hmm.
like that. So
Yeah. And also, if people choose to unfollow you, then they're not people. Like, if I say something that I'm passionate about and they want to unfollow me and they hate me because they're probably not people I want to be around anyway, for the
that's what
most
I'm
part, right?
saying. The people
So,
will, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say, but you said it better.
no, but it's like your content. Like, I think about this a lot when I post content or whatever. It's like, if this is going to be cringe to other people, I'm fearful that they're going to be judging me for it. It's like, do I really want those types of people around me anyway? Like, what does it really matter at the end of the day? Like, I'm going to try and keep superficial fans who really don't actually give a fuck about me or what I'm creating or what I'm trying to do. Like,
Mhm.
that's not worth it, to me. And that's like the idea of like of the industry and capitalism in general. It's like, okay, we're prioritizing profits even over our own happiness and our own authenticity, and it's like, there's no way that you can say you're living a fulfilled life if you feel like you're sacrificing a part of yourself just to maintain, certain status or money or fame or whatever it is.
You weed out the people that your thoughts don't align with, but you can also agree to disagree. I mean, there's people
Yeah.
that still follow me that might not have not agreed with what I've posted. I have noticed that there have been people that have unfollowed me based off of things that I posted before. So I can't do anything about that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to watch.
But you know what, that I also look at it as I'm creating something real. If there's a dialogue happening and it's creating some sort of friction, that means I'm actually activating a real conversation right now. And that's a positive, because I'm not creating the same bubblegum bullshit that is like, going to be served to everybody. I'm actually contributing something real, and be it if you agree or if, it is not a popular opinion, or I'm wrong in this thing according to somebody else. Like, at least there's a dialogue happening. At least we're having an honest conversation,
Right.
rather than me just trying to make everybody fucking happy, which is impossible at the end of the day.
Mhm. Exactly.
So let's talk about Somebody, the song, the single that you just dropped. I know we are kind of alluding to it a bit in some of the dating conversation, but you had mentioned to me that this was like the first song you put out in like 2 years, right? Which is crazy. I mean, kind of take me through a bit of that. What was the delay or the hesitancy to put something out in that time span?
So there wasn't really I wasn't very hesitant. I just wanted to really focus on the songs that I do have out, because
Yeah.
I, believe it or not, have like 20 something singles out.
Mhm.
And it just didn't really make sense. Like, instead of trying to rush and like really just put out something, which I'm so proud of the song that I just put out. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite, I think probably my favorite that I've ever released. It's just so important to like take the time, especially with our society now in the music industry, and just go, 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 go.
Yep.
Like, it's important to really focus on what you have and really like lean into that more, trust the songs that you do have out. Because for me, like I said, I have a ton out. So I've noticed that the growth that I've had is all with the songs that I have had out for years. There's still people to this day that are like, yo, you got to release this. And I'm like, it's been out for 3 years, that they don't know. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's a testament to like, don't give up on your songs, no matter how
Mhm.
old they are. It is crazy to see the growth and see people find out, about every single one of my songs in a different way and finding
Hmm.
me on different platforms. I always ask, like, how'd you find me? Because
Yeah.
it's hard to keep up with at this point. It's going to get harder to ask and like message people, I'm sure eventually. But right now, I'm really enjoying like really getting to know each of my fans. And like, I even have an app where I text them on. Like, it's pretty
That's
sick,
dope.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's just cool to build a community. I feel like that's kind of what I was missing. The missing piece was like finding people that are like me and that can relate to me. But all of that came because of me sharing my story, if that makes sense.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've been
People see
vulnerable,
themselves in you. Yeah.
exactly, because I've been vulnerable and finally let go a little bit and not cared about so much what people think. I
Hmm.
have found people more like myself and more people that can relate to me. And it's cool because it's a healing
Yeah.
me for all of us together. It's like I put out my music, and as I'm creating that, it's healing me, but then in
Hmm.
return, it's also healing other people. And then we're just all together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I've sort of found when I opened up more and became vulnerable. That's when things really started to happen for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we're all that's so rare, sadly. And when people see themselves in another person, they latch onto it because it is such a rare occurrence. And I think also even just like that sort of your approach to it right now, I think it's a smart one and it's interesting. I was just talking to like a radio buddy of mine
Mhm.
last week, and we were just kind of like how it's all old songs being recreated basically is like the new format, or even in radio they're going back and playing a lot more throwbacks than they used to, and it's sort of speaking to and like it's easy to sound like an old person who hates music, but I think we are genuinely in a shittier music cycle because of the quick churn out mode of ideas and songs and music because of TikTok. It's more about creating a cool 15-second part of a song that can go viral rather than actually composing a really good piece of music, like a good record or something, like a good song. And it's why a lot of these artists who do break through, they're kind of one and done. You don't hear from them after the fact. It's rare to have artists that are sticking around. And it's because they haven't had the time to focus on the artistry and building that community and building their voice. They got lucky with one song really early on, and then now they're trying to scramble with all the eyes and all the pressure on them to recreate that hit. And also, even when it comes to like concerts and touring and things like that, there are artists who are on the radio who couldn't sell out, small room venues around the country if they wanted to. And it's because they just have a popular viral song, but they've never actually developed a real connection that would drive people to spend their money and their time to go out there and see them play. And I think that is what I think a lot of people are beginning to realize is the downside of like the TikTok generation when it comes to music.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of TikTok artists recently post about how they got dropped from their labels
Yeah,
because of that one hit, and after that, their next project didn't do so well. So there really are no shortcuts, and that's another thing I realized the last couple
right.
of years. You cannot, if you want success, there are no shortcuts. Like nothing is going to get handed to you. Nothing's going to fall in your lap. If you want it, you
Hmm.
literally have to put in the blood, sweat, tears for it. Um, there's just no other way. So yeah, you want ride or die fans that are going to stick with you through everything. And like, for example, if you drop merch, boom, they're going to
Hmm.
go get that shit. If you drop a
Right.
makeup line, boom. Like, think about Rihanna, Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like, what is that thing how have they created empires?
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
look at those. Like, for me, I look up to those two artists because they can do it all.
Sure.
Sing, dance. Like,
Hmm.
it's not just about the music. I don't want to just do music. I want to do everything. So, yeah, I'm working towards it, but it is hard because you do get in your head sometimes. You got to control your emotions a lot, but that's
Hmm.
the case with any business. Like you got to just let that shit go and put it aside a little bit. Drop your ego. Can't do anything if you have an ego,
Yep.
and you have to be afraid to fail. And you got to be afraid to fail in front of people.
Mm. Yeah.
Just very hard to do, but that's what it takes, you know? For me, I
Yeah.
was scared. I was so scared people thought. Like I still am to this day, but it's gotten a little bit better, a lot better. But I did notice that the shit changed. Like shit changes when you stop giving a fuck about people
Yeah.
think.
Well, that's when you start like really fucking just hitting it hard. Like, cause what really slows people down, myself included, is you begin to overthink shit, right? And like, even if you had one thing that did well, you probably weren't overthinking it at the time. And now you're like going against the formula that got you to do something well, you know? And it's also just proxy of like somebody told me the analogy the other day on the podcast, and they were like, you're really just like building ships and putting them out to sea, and just like, that's it. That's all you could do. You just keep putting them out to sea, and like, you know, eventually one of them's going to hit land at some point, but like you can't be too worried about it. That's not your job, is to worry about when it's going to hit land. You just keep putting ships out there, and eventually you're going to have so many of them out there that one is bound to hit land, and you're going to see some sort of success and some sort of growth.
Yeah, it's literally statistics and math. Like the more you put out, the more likely it is that you will. And also just with the algorithm, it's like it sees your activity. And that has been the case with me. Like, yeah, it's just the more work you do, and it does get tiring. I mean, you got to find what works for you so you don't burn out and all that. But burnout is literally just your emotions. Like that's an excuse for your emotions getting in the way, in my opinion.
It goes both ways, I think, but there's literal, I think there's literal times where you're just like, you have the sabotage voice, is what I call it, in your head. And it's like, you know what? You could fucking sleep in today. Who cares? Just sleep in. And it's like, no, I shouldn't be sleeping in. And then there's also like the reality where your body's telling you, where it's like, you've slept 3 hours in the last 2 weeks. You could fucking sleep in today and maybe post that TikTok an hour later than you planned it, you know?
Yeah, no, I have those moments.
Well, listen, always good talking to you. Somebody, the song is out there right now. You can go stream that shit everywhere. Okay, anywhere you find them. Of course. Where can people follow you on these socials?
My Instagram is Thalia Falcon. So that's THALIA And my TikTok is Thalia C Falcon. And yeah, what other platforms are there that people are using? Snapchat, Thalia Falcon.
Are people still using Snapchat? I feel like influencers who are getting paid to use Snapchat are the only ones still on there.
Yeah, no, I just saw that last night. Everyone's like, they're making crazy money from that shit.
That's what I heard.
I haven't started doing that, but I think Instagram and TikTok are my two most. And YouTube, of course, I got my music videos on there. Facebook page, we got it all. We got a Twitter, we got a Threads account. Just search Thalia Falcon and y'all will find me. I'm there.
Perfect. And I know we're not rushing to be putting things out. So for now, somebody is the thing that we're pushing everybody to, and you know, eventually something else will pop up.
Yes, sir. We're excited about it though.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate it.
Man, big shout out to my guest this week, the homie Thalia Falcon. Always love her energy, and man, it's just dope to see people. I've known her for a couple of years, and had her on the podcast a few times over the course of the seasons, and I just love seeing people grow and just out there chasing, hustling, and inspiring others. I know I've been inspired by just how fucking tenacious she is with the content she puts out. She's very consistent, and that's definitely a person I'm like, man, if she could be consistent working another job and doing music and all this kind of stuff, I have no excuse. So big shout out to her. Now I want to get y'all's take on one of the topics we were talking about today. I'm obsessed with talking about dating as of late. I just think we're just in such an interesting space. So I'm gonna get y'all's take on a dating topic when it comes to apps. We'll do that for our Ask a Gringo segment. Ask a Gringo. I have a question. All right, so for today's Ask a Gringo segment, and at DJ Dramos, if you want to be a part of these conversations, I always post it on my Instagram. I simply just ask people thoughts, experiences when it comes to dating apps, obviously based off of the lawsuit that's happening with Tinder and Hinge. I got a bunch of responses. I know we're running a little long, so I'll keep it short here. Let's see. At Danielle_California_Love_LV says, never been a fan, to be honest. I don't feel like they're authentic. I love meeting people organically. And I agree 100%. I like, what I hate about dating apps is I feel like it brings me out of my authenticity. I feel like dating apps turn me into a fuckboy where I'm just trying to figure out the perfect line to get somebody's attention because I know that they probably have a bunch of other dudes who are messaging them as well. And I feel like that just puts me in a weird place that I don't want to be in. You're not getting the best version of me at that point. I will say though, as a man in his 30s, it's tough out here in these streets. Like to meet somebody and to like spark up a conversation and for it to not feel weird or awkward, or like, I think also we've created this narrative that's like, you know, of women not wanting to get hit on the streets, which rightfully so. Like catcalling, I'm sure is a incredibly annoying experience to have to go through. But I think it just creates this like weird dynamic of like, am I a creep? This is what runs through my mind. Am I a creep if I try to start a conversation with a random girl at Target that I think is attractive or whatever? So yeah, maybe you can answer that question for me in my DMs. Am I a creep for hitting on somebody at Target? That's what I feel like, and it makes the whole thing weird. The only time it feels normal is like if you're at a bar. But again, a bar is like a horrible environment to like spark up a conversation and actually get to meet somebody. So that's where I stand on it. Let's see, at Gigi, the first gen mentor. She said, I met my husband on eHarmony, but I hated all the other apps. Too superficial. See, I love a good success story right here. And I think eHarmony is the one that I've heard. I think that's their slogan. If you're serious about meeting somebody, you choose eHarmony, right? And I think eHarmony is, I think you have to like take a quiz. I want to say I started it at one point and then I just like was just too much work. But yeah, I think those are apps that are set up for people who are actually really trying to meet somebody, and it's less about superficiality. But that's what I hate about the dating apps too. It's very superficial, and it almost like it's like social media where it's this fucking highlight reel, you know? Like I'm turned off when I was on a dating app, if I would see a woman like doing the forced vacation bikini pose, I'd be like, man, like this is, you know, yeah, you're attractive, but like I don't feel like I'm, you know, I don't know if my wife is going to be leading with that picture. I don't know. I mean, I'm not here to judge anybody. I know that sounds very judgy. Me personally, my mindset is like, you know, if I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be leading with like gray sweatsuit, you know, gray sweatpants, you know, with the package bulging out as my lead picture on, you know, the dating app. I'm thinking to myself, that's going to bring me maybe attention, but not the attention I'm looking for. So that's my thought process, right? So if like your dating app picture looks like your OnlyFans profile picture potentially, for me, I'm like, you're beautiful, but you're probably not the right person for me. And as much as I would love to swipe right on that, I also have to have the discipline to say this is probably not a person not looking for the same thing as me. I don't know. I feel like I sound really judgy, but fuck it, right? Fuck it. You got to be authentic. If I sound judgy and y'all want to judge me for sounding judgy, it is what it is. But this is authentic conversation we have amongst friends, right? And we're all friends here. Y'all know my heart. Last one at Vida Deyanet. I'd be butchering some of these names. I'm sorry. I think it's Vida Deyanet. Says, never tried one. I just hear bad things from my friends who use them or currently use them. Yeah, I think, listen, I guess you can't knock it till you try it. Some people fucking love it. You know, some people are really out there just doing their thing on it. But yeah, I would love to move into a more traditional space where we are just, you know, meeting people in general. And maybe, listen, by the way, I think for me, when I think about this, it's harder as you're in your 30s, obviously, right? It becomes more difficult. And that's what I was kind of saying with Thalia. It's like, you have your friend group, and by the time you're in your 30s, it's kind of pretty much like set. These are my friends or whatever. You know their spouses, you've met their friends amongst going out at that point. So you've kind of like, you know, shaken that tree as much as you possibly can. And it's hard to make friends and to join new friend groups as you get older. And that's what makes modern dating, I think, so difficult. And I also think it's probably easier, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, anybody, but I think once you hit maybe your 40s and above, maybe dating apps are a little bit less of the fuckery, right? Because I feel like 20s and even 30s, there's a lot more gamesmanship still happening. I feel like there's a lot of immaturity, you know, within the dating at that point. But when you reach like 40 and above, you're kind of just like, listen, I ain't got no fucking time to waste out here. So I'm going to take, you know, a horrible angle picture because I don't know any better. And the person, you know, who's going to swipe on that is truly going to, you know, be looking for something serious because they're willing to look past this weird angle. You know, that's what I've noticed. Whenever I've seen somebody of a certain age posting on dating apps, I've come across them, I've been like, man, this person is just out here like no frills, just like being like, fuck it, either love me or leave me alone. And I respect it. I respect your awful angle, you know, picture selfie that is somehow grainy in 2024, but you still posted that as your main picture. Like I respect you just being like, take it or leave it, honey. I got no time to waste in this life. I have no idea the tangent I just went off on there. I don't even think it had anything to do related with what this person responded. I apologize. But yeah, listen, modern dating is kind of fucked. We all need to come back down to reality just a little bit. maybe lower our expectations, maybe stop thinking about all the options that are out there, and recognize that we are searching for somebody to make us happy at the end of the day, somebody that we can be happy with together, that we go against the world, essentially, like a partner in crime that's always there for you, a consistent partner to stand by your side, and all the other extras, bells and whistles, and, you know, validation from the outside world. Like, none of that stuff really matters if you don't have somebody who genuinely cares for you, and is going to be there for you through thick and thin, even when y'all get old and wrinkly and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. And I'm off the dating apps these days. I'm just, the dating apps, to me, when I go on them and I log on, I'm like, this is a reminder to me of everything I hate about the world these days. I'm like, get me out of here, please, as quickly as humanly possible. So yeah, I'll be kicking it at Marshall's and Target and Trader Joe's, and just like, you know, putting the vibes out there and seeing what happens. That's my ploy. That's my plan for the foreseeable future. Now, with that said, thank you all so much for tuning in. We still have our conclusions too, of course. We'll tie everything we talked about in a neat little bow in a segment that we call Conclusion Stew.
Time for conclusion stew.
All right, I'm gonna kind of go through these quickly because I feel like we ended on a bit of a high and like a little more energy, a little lighthearted, and these stories were kind of fucking heavy. But yeah, Oxygen backing a documentary that is based around the killer of Selena telling her story. Why? The only information that was new here was her making all kinds of, you know, claims that would sort of tarnish the name of Selena, you know, whatever the affair accusation, stuff like that. Like, what is the, I guess for me, when I look at programming like this or projects, I'm like, what is the intention? What are we getting out of this, right? And obviously it's just sensationalizing, you know, a murder. It is playing into people's, you know, bloodlust, if you will. And it is just using the name of Selena to get ratings and to get people to tune into this. And that's sad. You're really, you know, using other people's pain for profit. And anybody who's a producer, creator, showrunner on this, the network itself, like, they should all just be disgusted by the fact that they greenlit this thing to be, you know, put out there on the air. Terrible. Now, Diddy, all these accusations, you know, he's innocent until proven guilty. But again, I think this is a lesson in the false sort of idols, right? Stop idolizing these celebrities and holding them up on this pedestal and making it seem like they are just like these larger than life figures that, you know, you can't live up to. They're so much better than us. I think it's just a lesson in that. Like, people are fucked up. It doesn't matter if they have money, fame, whatever it is. They're not any better than you or I. They happen to have figured something out. They figured out their skill. Were born with a particular skill set that they then learned how to hone to make it to something that produced money for them. But, you know, they're fucked up people just like anybody else. And the more we try to put them on this pedestal and idolize them and be obsessed with them, the more disappointed we're going to be at the end of the day. And I think that's the case with somebody like Diddy. You can appreciate the success that he's had from afar. You could say, oh, wow, I want to emulate his confidence or the business acumen that he displayed in creating some of those businesses. But beyond that, we shouldn't have this weird obsession with them of like wanting to know everything that they do. Oh my God, they're getting a coffee. Oh my, wow, what's their Starbucks order? Who gives a shit? They're regular people, just like anybody else. Now, Tinder and Hinge and all that stuff, we talked about this a lot, but like, there's definitely some fucked up stuff going on with the algorithm. I knew for a fact where it was like the second I started paying for it, they started feeding me people that I was attracted to. And that's some crazy, I don't know, man. It just feels so dirty and disgusting at the end of the day. I mean, listen, it's their app. They can do whatever the hell they want, but something about that just feels wrong. And yeah, it's addictive. Those apps are just like social media, maybe even worse, because there feels like there's a lot more riding on it. Like, oh my God, I'm one swipe away from finding the love of my life. So yeah, I think we are maybe living in an era of reckoning where people are realizing, wait, this stuff is really detrimental to our mental health, and maybe we should rethink technology and how we're utilizing it. And for that, I'm hoping and you know, living with glass half full, that maybe we're moving in the right direction. And Olivia Rodrigo, who's an honorary Latina today, I love that she's going to be donating some of the money from each tour stop, partnering with the National Network of Abortion Funds, particularly when it comes to like women of color and low-income communities, and they're the ones who are affected by these laws, these abortion bans that are happening in states, you know, because they're the ones who generally don't have the funds to go travel to a state where it's legal and get this procedure done to choose what they want to do with their body. So I love that somebody like Olivia Rodrigo, and she's young, man. I think she's like, I don't know, 20 years old or something like that. Taking a stand, using her platform for good. This is what I always try to drive home. Again, I can't tell anybody how to live their life, but for me, if you achieve a certain level of fame, money, status, connections, notoriety, you have so much power in your hands in a simple Instagram story. Why would you not want to use that for good, for things that you're passionate about, for things that potentially could change the lives of others in a positive way? And I love to see people utilizing their platforms for that. So beautiful stuff. Now, with that said, thank y'all so much for tuning into today's episode. I don't know if you could tell or you heard sniffles, but I'm fucking fighting a terrible cold right now. East Coast weather has been all over the place. It's like 20 degrees in the morning, then 60 during the day. I think it finally caught me. So I'm losing my voice. I feel like crap. But we are getting through it. I got to show up for my peoples. I love y'all. I'm so happy to be doing season 3. So pushing through. Now I'm going to go take my ass a nap. That's it. Soup and a nap. With that said, I will catch you on Tuesday with a brand new episode. Till then, have an amazing weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon. Peace.